Hello, so this is Mila Komarova, and today I'm going to be doing exploratory presentation number 2. Today we're going to talk about what makes society great, and we're going to compare and contrast medieval times and 21st century America. And there's a lot of things that make a society great. There's fairness, how fair people are, there's freedom, how free people are in that specific society. There's that sense of security that everybody needs. There's also a sense of compassion, which I think we as healthcare professionals we provided the most. There's also absence of poverty, and um, poverty is just something that every society experiences. And there's also welfare benefits. So, um, what doesn't make society great is we have a decent basic standard of living, and that way we're going to be secure and free in just how we want to live our lives. We can develop our potential and flourish emotionally and maturely. We can participate, contribute, and treat all people with care and respect, and building a fair and sustainable future for our next generation. In this slide, I am going to be talking about medieval times or Middle Ages. Middle Ages was the period in European history from the collapse of Roman civilization in the 5th century to the period of Renaissance. And they were basically making a gesture of their sense of freedom, and at the same time, they were accepting medieval conceptions of history. Um, it's as a series of well-defined ages within limited time frame. They did not speak Augustine's 6 ages of the world, or they believed in the prophecy, but they actually inherited a big philosophy of history that began in Garden of Eden and would end in the second coming of Christ. Now, with 21st century in America, it started around June 2000, and there was a lot of things that happened in 21st century America. There's been a big rise in economy. There's also been 9/11, which I think this was one of the biggest events that happened in early 2000 that impacted pretty much everybody. There's been a big rise in technology, whether it's iPhone, iPad, uh, internet, all the video Teams and Zoom and Blue Jeans and all those platforms. There's also technology like electric cars that came around. There was also a recession that happened, and it was basically um, uh, the market crashed and a lot of people end up giving up their homes. So I think those are very important things to remember about 21st century of America. So when you start comparing and contrasting, I picked a few things, and one of them is government system. Well, during medieval times, they had a feudal uh, system where they had king, lords, knights, vassals, and peasants. So there was like a class of that where you were born into, and people who were actually part of the church played an important part too. And when the person was born in a certain group, they rarely moved to a different group. Whereas with 21st century, there is a lot of freedom. Nobody really puts you in the box to where if you were born into poverty, there are a lot of people who grew out of the poverty. And there's also freedom of elections. People have a choice. People have a voice. Now, when we look at the economy between medieval times and 21st century America, With medieval times, during medieval times, local economy was pretty much influenced by guild and merchants, and they basically controlled the flow of the trade. And before a journeyman could be a master, they had to create a masterpiece and be approved by a guild master. So everything was done through the trade, and that's how they made a lot of money. Whereas in 21st century America, there is large corporations and there's small businesses, which are really big and booming at this point. Now, when we look at social things between medieval and 21st century America, 90% of the population were peasants during medieval times, and there were also social ladder and guilds. Um, People had well defined positions. They kind of stayed within their same social class, whereas 21st century, you have upper class, you have new money, you have middle class, working poor, and poverty level, and people kind of move around depending on where they're at in life. I also wanted to talk about church. During medieval time, there was only one a church, which was Roman Catholic, and they basically were the most dominant, powerful institution in the Europe that kind of influenced everybody. So, but with 21st century America, there's any religion. People can practice whatever religion they want. People practice Christianity, people practice Buddhism, Hinduism, any other religion is pretty much open. So to kind of wrap it all up, we see that both times there's been really good things and there hasn't been really great things. And I think there's a lot of things that were kind of transferred from medieval times or Middle Ages to the 21st century. There's still trade happening, and it's just not as much. But I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from the 21st century, and we can kind of incorporate in that sense. But we also a lot more free. We have more choice. We have more freedom, and I think that's pretty awesome. And here are my references, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks.